I'm going to be talking about energy and how that relates to just about every aspect of your life. Everything I'm going to tell you tonight, because you're in this room, you already know it. I'm just going to remind you about some things. But you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't have come tonight if you didn't really already know all of this stuff deep down. And I'm just going to bring this stuff up to the surface to help you remember some of it. And some of it you'll already know, right? And so when we talk about energy, everybody you hear, energy is everything. Everything is energy. And that's really vast. Like, what does that mean? Like quantum physics and all that stuff. And you hear all that, like every object is made of energy. Energy is everywhere. But it's hard to kind of to bring that down and really, grasp it. And what does it mean to me? How does that affect my life, right? And so what I want to do tonight is I really want to focus on how energy affects you on a personal level, and how energy has the ability to affect you on a physical level, and also what you're bringing into your life, and also the relationships you have in your life, and how powerful it is, and how you have the power within you to really create what you want in your life. In terms of, and how we do that is based on energy, okay? So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the concept of an aura, chakras, that sort of thing, right? Okay. So we know that we have a physical body because it's very obvious, we see it, we feel it. And we also have a correlating energy body. And it can be referred to as your auric field. And it surrounds the body, it kind of up about 3 or 4 feet above your head, surrounds the body and goes down into actually the ground. And you have what I call it's a central vertical channel of energy that comes in through the top of the head down the center of the body, and it correlates, it feeds into the chakras. And the chakras are essentially the energy input centers into the body. And every chakra correlates to organs within the body, okay? So to walk you quickly through the chakras, so at the top here you have your crown chakra, and that is your chakra that is connected to higher realms, or people who have a lot of faith, who are very interested in kind of otherworldly stuff, or spiritual, or they just have a lot of they're open to different concepts, and they're interested in things that you can't maybe see or feel in the physical. So that's kind of your crown chakra. You've got your third eye chakra, that is your intuition. Like how you perceive, you can perceive things. Third chakra, it ties into communication. Then you've got your heart, you've got your high heart, and the heart chakra. And the high heart is kind of your higher connection, emotional connection. It's more of a spiritual, higher self type emotional connection. Then you have your actual heart, which is your emotional center in the body. And the heart is a perception organ. It is not only just pumping out blood, but it also is a perceptor. It perceives emotions and energy and all kinds. It's a very powerful organ. And then you have your solar plexus, which is right about here, and that is your power center. So that is where you get a lot of your self-confidence. Are you comfortable with yourself? People who have maybe a blockage or a weaker solar plexus area will have a lot of anxiety. And they also will have difficulty making decisions. They might be very indecisive because they don't trust themselves. They're not really sure what to do, right? I don't know, maybe I should do this, maybe I should. They second guess a lot of anxiety there. And if you've got an overactive solar plexus, you can be perceived maybe as someone who's got a very powerful energy. You could be perceived as maybe arrogant, kind of forceful, kind of, they know everything, and they can be maybe even perceived as a bit brash in a way. So it's a seat of power, okay? Then you have your sacral chakra, which it ties into all the sexual organs, but it's also the center of creativity, and all the intimate kind of relationship stuff is stored kind of here. And then you have your root chakra, which is actually kind of around where the tailbone is, and that is your survival kind of, it's really connected in the physical, and it kind of runs our survival. So we need to eat, shelter, survival needs, okay? It's very grounded, very physical based. So those are kind of your chakras. And so you've got this energy that runs through the body, you've got these chakras, and they correlate into different organs in the body. We also have an emotional body, okay? And the emotional body and your emotions act as fuel for your energy body, okay? So what the emotions do is they vibrate. And they'll start to vibrate at a frequency. And then that frequency not only will affect you internally, physiologically, your responses, your physical responses within the body, creates that fight or flight. Your hormones start to, cortisol starts to change, your heart races, all of those things. It's physiological response to emotions. And what happens to the energy body outside of you is it starts to vibrate and it emits a frequency. Okay? So your emotions are fuel to the energy body. So an example of this would be, let's say, and here's another thing. When we look at emotions, we always seem to label emotions as good emotions, bad emotions. And I want to try and kind of get away from that. And I want to talk about emotions in terms of high and low. There's low frequency emotions and high frequency emotions. So a low frequency emotion, the lowest frequency emotion is fear. Fear, guilt, shame, anger, resentment, low on the scale. High vibrational emotions, we're talking about gratitude, joy, love. Love is the highest. Okay? And then there are all varying degrees in between, and there's very neutral feelings as well. You know, just kind of acceptance can be a very kind of neutral space. Okay? And so when we're emitting this frequency, it's based on our emotional space. And the universe then reads the energetic frequency that we emit. There's no judgment there. Is the vibration high or is the vibration low? And what the universe is going to do then is it's going to affirm your vibration by bringing that vibration back into your life. Okay? So you have to start to ask yourself, where am I most of the time in my day-to-day life? Where do I live? What emotional frequency, what vibration am I living in? Okay? So an example of this is, let's say you're in line at a bank or something. And you're in a really long line, and the person in front of you is taking a really long time. There's a really long lineup, and you've got to, you have places to be. You're going to be late for work, and you start to vibrate, right? You can feel it in your body. It's irritation. What is wrong with her? Why is she taking so long? Why is she so inconsiderate? I'm going to be late. I have this, I have that, and the thoughts start rolling, right? And the thoughts create the emotions, the body starts to react, the body's really getting, you can start to feel your blood pressure rise, or you get kind of hot, right? And you can feel that in your core. And when you take a step back at what's really happening, underneath the emotions, when you kind of are able to peel them back and you have this awareness about what's going on, what you usually find is at the core of this emotion, which we're feeling as irritation, is fear. I'm afraid that I don't have enough time. I'm afraid I'm going to be late. I'm afraid that if I'm late, people are going to think that I'm irresponsible. I'm going to be late to pick up my kids. People are going to think I'm a neglectful parent. There's judgment there too, right? So, but at the surface, it just seems like I'm irritated at this woman. But no, it's not about her at all. It's really about you. It's really about you. Okay? Now, when this starts to happen, and when you're in this space, you always have a choice. You can choose. Do I want to be in this space at this moment? And if the answer is no, you can shift yourself out of it. And there's one easy, felt way to do it, and it works every time. I'm irritated. And I don't want to be in this space because I was feeling good before this. And I don't want this to ruin my evening, right? I'm going to think of something that I'm grateful for. It has to be something you're really grateful for. Like, and it can be anything. It can be a really small thing. It can be a cup of coffee. It can be your dog. It can be your children. It can be anything, as long as you really mean it. You shift into that space of gratitude. Or if you can find in this situation something to be grateful for, maybe, standing in line, you have time to respond to an email, whatever it is. Shift into gratitude, get out of that irritation, your body will respond immediately. Calm down. Okay? And another thing that happens with your vibration, it's not just about you. Energy is a frequency, and it can be quite contagious, right? So when you're vibrating in a low vibrational state, everyone around you, especially if they're sensitive to you or they're connected to you, especially people that you're close with, will pick up on that energy. And you can bring them down as well. So you have to ask yourself, do I want to be emitting this frequency? Not just for me, but do I want to be is that what I want to be putting out in the world right now, today? Or not? And you decide. Right? So then the universe also picks this up, and the universe assumes that if that's the space that you're at and that's where you're vibrating, that's what you want. Right? So it says, oh, okay, low vibration, irritation, fear. Okay, here you go. That's what you wanted. That's what you ordered. Right? It doesn't judge it. Okay? Oftentimes we'll ask for things, or we want things in our life, and you hear a lot about positive affirmations and everything. And I would tell you that positive affirmations work to a point, but if you really don't believe that you deserve, or you really don't believe what you're asking for, you're not living in that vibrational space, it's kind of ineffective. You can tell yourself all the stories you want, but if you don't really connect with them emotionally, or you don't really believe them, they're not going to be super effective. Okay? So let's say, people are always putting out things, like we know about the law of attraction, right? That's a really big topic, how you manifest things, right? So say you say, I want love. I want to bring love into my life, right? And that's great. But if underneath that, I want love, I want to bring in this partner into my life, if there's something else running there, if there is a signature of, I need to have this relationship because I'm afraid to be alone, because I don't really love, myself, I'm not comfortable on my own, or if it's because all my friends are married and I feel excluded and I feel lonely and I need this relationship to come in, or I need someone to come in and complete me, right? What's underneath that? Fear. So the universe is going, we don't know what the hell she wants. She says she wants love, but she's acting because she doesn't love herself. She wants love, but she doesn't love herself enough. I don't know what to do with this. So you might get, a bit of, I don't know, it's not clear. So you have to act. So if you want love, you have to be loved. And we all know that, right? We hear that all the time. You have to love yourself and you'll attract the right person, right? But if you say to yourself, and here's the other way to look at it. So you say, I want love, I want to bring love into my life. And you're saying it because you're happy with your life, but you feel like it'd be great to bring someone in so you can share love with them, and you'd love to love someone, and you'd love to share your life with someone, and it's a different feeling behind it. So you love yourself, but you're looking to enhance things, and you want to love somebody. The universe is saying, okay, love, yeah, give her love. Easy. It's very straightforward, right? Money, same thing. Everybody wants abundance, right? I want abundance. And people say, I want money. Well, no one really wants money, because money's paper. Money's a number on your phone screen when you look at your bank account. What you really want when you want money is what that money can bring into your life. So you want freedom. You want flexibility. You want to be able to do what you want to do. And so we say we want abundance. And we go around with our money. And every time we have to put money out, I don't want to spend my money. I don't want to have to pay for all this. I don't want to put that money out. I hate to part with my money. I hate to pay my bills. Why? I'm afraid I don't have enough. Money is scarce. I have to work hard for my money. I want to hold on to it because I'm afraid to let it go because I don't trust that it's going to come back. Right? So you're going around saying I want abundance, but then you don't want to put any money out. So you're living in a place of scarcity or lack. You're asking for abundance, but you're not living it. And so an example of this would be, and it can be a small thing, and it doesn't even have to be giving money or putting money out. It just can be, can you give freely? And that can be with money. That could be something simple like, let's say you go to the same coffee shop every morning, and you really enjoy going there, and you look forward to it every morning, and you just really, it brightens up your morning. And so you go in one morning, and you order your coffee, and you pay the 20, and they go to give you the change, and you say, no, I want you to have that, because I just want you to know how much I'm grateful for this place. I love the coffee, it just makes me feel good, and I just want to give that back to you. Thank you. Right? You're in abundance. You're not afraid to give your money freely. And it doesn't have to be money either. It can be your time. It can be taking the time to listen to someone who's talking to you. I mean, really listen to them. Give them those 5 minutes. It can be a compliment. You can tell someone, you know what? Thank you. Or you look beautiful. Or I love that. Whatever, as long as it's genuine. Right? And what you're doing is you're giving freely. And you're in abundance. And when you're in abundance, when you're able to give freely, you're putting out that I have plenty. I have so much that I can share it freely with other people, and I don't need to be rigid about my money or my time, within reason, right? I'm not suggesting that you go and you spend exorbitant amounts of money irresponsibly or anything, but I'm saying that when you are truly grateful and you can give something to someone, do it, right? Think about money, the currency of money. We all know money is currency. Make money the currency. Whenever you spend money, make it the currency of gratitude. So even if you're paying your bill, let's say you have to pay a Rogers bill, and you're like, oh, right? Put that money out, pay that bill, and pay it on time. And pay it with the idea that that service brings something into your life, that you're grateful for it, makes your life better. And don't be kind of like, oh, I hate having to pay. Just pay the bill and say thank you. Thank you for the service. It brings something into my life, right? And mean it, right? And it's the same thing. So start to think, and what I've started to do is I've started to think of money as the currency of gratitude. To me, money is thank you. So every time I put money out, I'm thanking. I'm saying thank you. And what starts to happen is when you're able to get shift into that perspective, is that money starts to kind of show up in unexpected ways when you need it, and you find that you have the money you need to do kind of what you want to do, and there's no stress about money. You're not focused on money. You're not worried about money, and the money kind of shows up. Or the people you need, if there's something you really want to do, and the people you need will kind of show up with the resources, and they will assist you. And it will show up in very unexpected ways. But it becomes very magical. Right? And it's like, oh wow. And it's almost like you start to get into that mindset of you're expecting good things to come, because when you put good things out, of course you're going to get good things back. Because people always say, oh, the universe is punishing me. Punishing me. No, it doesn't work like that. There is no punishment. There's only affirmation of what you're putting out. And what I do believe is that part of the whole design of all of that, the mechanism behind that, is when you're putting out low vibrational energy on a very consistent basis, and that's kind of where you're living most of the time, The universe is matching that, and it's affirming it, and it's giving you more of that. So you're gonna get whatever you're feeling about yourself. You're gonna get, people are gonna show up and they're gonna mirror that. They're gonna show you. They're gonna affirm your feelings. But and it's not because the universe sounds kind of sadistic, right? Like, that's pretty mean. It's kind of harsh. No. What it is the universe is doing that because the universe is hoping, this is my belief, that you're going to get so sick and tired of living in that space, you're going to do something to shift the vibration and get out of it. You'll have enough. I've had enough. And I would say to you too, and this is a really hard thing for me to get my head around, every relationship that you have in your life, you are responsible for. 100%. So, we have difficult relationships or strained relationships. Let's talk about, maybe think about a family member that you kind of have a difficult relationship with. And there's a lot of blaming, well, he did this to me, or she did that to me, and if she's this or she's that, forget that. Forget that. It's you. You're the problem in your relationship. You are always the problem because basically you're the person who has to be responsible for managing your emotional state. And you're the person who has to be able to shift and get out of that. And then once you're able to kind of shift that and get out of that, you're not holding on to resentment. You're not judging. You're not doing all of that. What will happen is when you're around that person, they will feel that. And they will start to respond much more positively to you because they won't feel their judgment. There's the judgment or there's the attack coming, and the way you relate to them will be much different. And it will transform relationships. And if it doesn't transform the relationship will disappear. The person you'll find you have less and less interaction with. And usually they'll just kind of be gone, they drift out of your life. And when they are around, they don't trigger you anymore. So if they are around and they start to kind of come at you or they start digging into you and they're irritating and the triggers are coming up, what you're able to see is that has got nothing to do with me. Everything they're putting out is all about the pain that they have inside that they haven't been able to let go of, and it's actually got nothing to do with me, so I'm not going to take this personally. And you can start to look at it from a place of compassion. How hard is that for them? They got to carry all that. Right? And you can do compassionate witnessing, and it's not ever a reason that you have to subject yourself to abusive behavior. But you can do it from a distance. You can pull away from them, but without reacting in an emotional, negatively, like a low vibrational negative space, where you're on the defense. But you can take a step out, and you can let them do what they're doing, and you can hold a space from them from a distance with compassion. Because oftentimes we don't want to feel bad, right? I think we're conditioned that we're afraid to feel anything that we would call uncomfortable or painful. And so what we do is we either avoid those feelings if we can, right? So what we do is we'll do things like I feel really, I don't like the way I feel right now, or I'll eat something, or I'll drink something, or I'll watch something, or I've got to distract myself from this feeling because I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel this. You can't fear your feelings. Because feelings aren't good or bad, they just are, right? And when you avoid your feelings and you don't want to look at them, you don't want to face them, you don't want to sit with them, and you don't want to feel them, you can't release them. What happens is they get stuck down, and they will get stuck in the energy body. Okay? And when they get stuck in the energy body, when I do energy work, when I see these kind of blockages, what they kind of look like it's like black goo, or it's like a black mass. And if you think of your energy body, it flows all through the chakras, right? And if you want to be in optimal health, you want the energy flowing. You can't be in optimal health if the energy is stuck and it's not flowing. You just can't. So if you're not you're not healthy emotionally, you're not going to be in optimal health physically. It's not possible. It's interconnected. So if you are stepping things down, you will create this blockage. And over time, that blockage, the emotional dis-ease, will manifest over time in disease. And we freak out about that word, right? Disease. Oh, I have a disease. Oh my God. Well, it's just it's disease. It's a state of disease. It's your body is doing you a favor. It's trying to help you. It's saying, hi, excuse me, over here, down here, there's a problem, right? Something happened, you didn't resolve it, there was some sort of trauma, or there was some pain or something that you haven't been able to release, and it's sitting here like a stone and it's causing all these problems, and so we need to get your attention, so we want to resolve this, because we don't want to go carrying this stuff around. And so it will drag your attention there, and the way it will do that is it will come through your body. And then we get mad at our body, right? Resent it. Why are you working? Well, what it's doing is it's trying to call your attention to there's something wrong emotionally that you need to look at. And these are scripts that we run, right? And so we learn them pretty early. And part of the problem, I think, is that in our society, the way things are is when we're born with our worth. Our worth is inherent. It is your birthright to live in peace and joy and happiness. That is your birthright. But when you're born, especially when you get to school and stuff like that, all of a sudden you have to prove your worth. It's not inherent. You gotta get good grades. You gotta prove that you're worthy. You gotta work hard. You gotta go to the right schools. You gotta do A, B, and C. There's a prescription for a successful life, right? So we gotta go to school, and then we gotta, maybe we gotta buy a house, or we gotta get the right job, and we gotta, meet somebody, get married, have kids, whatever that looks like. There's a prescribed way of being, and we're constantly trying to prove our worth. And I'll tell you, whenever you're looking for your self-worth in external sources, you're in trouble. Because you have to know your worth. You're born with it. You're worthy. Right? We don't know it, we forget that. It's not that we don't know it, we forget it. Because we're conditioned. I mean, everything, if the beauty industry and just all the advertising we're exposed to constantly is telling us that we're not good enough on our own. We need this, we need that. There's all this stuff that we need so that we can be admired, or that we can be worthy, or people will look at us a certain way, or we can accept ourselves, and we need all these things to do that. It's really not true. Right? And so, oftentimes people too, we get fixated on goals, right? So we'll say, when I get that job, I will be happy, right? And so we tie our happiness and everything on this goal that we have. And then once we get it, everything's going to be perfect. It's going to be magic elixir, and it's going to change our life, and everything's going to be wonderful after that, right? And so if you imagine yourself like in a hallway with all these doors, and you decide whatever's going to make you happy is behind that door. So you go to the door to open it. It doesn't open. Uh-oh, it's locked. Start to be like, okay, this is not okay, because my happiness is on the other side of that door, right? So what you start to do is you'll start to put some force. You're using your energy. You're pushing against the door, and there's this resistance, and it won't open. And you start to get, why won't it open? There's a desperation, or there's a franticness, because this was my door, and it won't open, and it won't open. And then what people often do is they'll start to bang against the door. They'll put all their weight against the door. Maybe they're banging their weight against the door, and then what does it become? It becomes self-abuse, right? And I would say to you, it's not your door, right? But the thing is, you got to believe that there is another door here for you, because you deserve that, because that is your birthright. Right? There's something better for you. If that door doesn't open, it's just not your door, because there is something better for you. Leave the door. Maybe you go back in 2 months and the door opens. Maybe 2 years and it opens. Or maybe it never does and you find this great thing behind the door, 3 doors down. But when you're looking for something external to make you happy, then you get fixated on this stuff, and then it becomes almost toxic, because really, you shouldn't need to look for stuff outside of yourself to make you happy. If you're happy now, I am happy now. I'm grateful for what I have now. So I don't need to kill myself trying to get all this stuff, right? And then when you're in that state, again, your energy's, you're in the state of abundance. and just looking at what you do have in your life and saying, you know what? I have all these things that I'm so happy with, and I'm gonna get there, right? I trust that good things are coming to me, right? And it's hard, because it's not what we're conditioned to do, right? And so I'll share some personal stuff with you. So, and this relates to how emotions kind of really affect our physical health. So, when I was a really small kid, I was a really small kid, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 3. I started to realize that I would perceive things, or that I would understand things, and I thought everybody saw them or understood them, and then I found out quickly that that was not the way. Other people didn't see or perceive things that I saw, and people didn't look at things the way I did, and I started to feel like I didn't fit in. There was something maybe wrong with me. I was too sensitive, or I was flawed in some way, because I would tell people things, sometimes adults, and they kind of look at me like, I don't know what you're talking about, you're weird, or I'd freak them out. And so I decided, and I'd go to school, and I couldn't really fit in sometimes with the other kids, because I didn't feel like the same things that were motivating them or motivated me, so I felt like I had to pretend all the time to get along. And so I decided that, I learned quickly that when I was honest with people, or when I really expressed what I really thought or what I truly felt, I would get hurt. People wouldn't approve of me. They think I was weird. And so what I started to do is I started to get along, especially at school. It wasn't so much at home. At home I was a little bit more open, but at school especially I decided I had to pretend to be a different version of myself, someone that would be accepted, and I had to please other people, so I became a bit of a chameleon. Like, if they said it was good, I'd be like, yeah, it's good. Do you want to play this? Okay, I'll play. I didn't want to. And I stopped knowing what I did want, what I didn't want. I was just trying to survive, right? So people wouldn't hurt me. That was my fear. People are going to make fun of me. They're going to judge me. They're going to hurt me. And never tell the truth. Okay? So, and that went on for a really long time. And after a while, though, I forgot that. I forgot that script was even running. I forgot that I was even doing it, because it became so automatic to me. To mirror people, to mimic people, to be a chameleon, just give them what they want so they don't hurt you. Right? So then when I was in my 20s, I was 23, and I was aware as a kid, I remember, my whole life, whenever I would get upset, when I'd be on the verge of tears, I would get this lump in my throat. It would be this excruciating kind of feeling where it would be like there was this like stone in my throat, or I couldn't breathe, or I couldn't swallow it, or all the upset would sit right there. And especially when I was on the verge of tears, it would hit me. And I didn't really understand all of this or connect it. And then when I was around 23, my health started to fail. And I had a toddler. I had my daughter. And my daughter, yeah, she's a surprise. And I had her when I was 21. And I finished school. I managed. And I was working for a very large financial company. I was doing sales and marketing. And I was working in a very high pressure environment. I was a very young woman. I was working with a lot of older men. There's a lot of pressure. I was trying to just kind of manage that. I didn't really want. I didn't really. We did pension plans and things, and they were really like into like mutual funds and financial. I really didn't care about any of that stuff, right? But I thought, well, no, I need this job that I'm successful. People keep telling me how lucky I am to have this job. I didn't really feel that way, but I thought, okay, that's fine. I'll just, wasn't for me, right? But, so I'm there, and I'm finding I'm having a really hard time coping. Like, I physically was just getting so drained. I had so much fatigue, and I couldn't focus, and I had mental fogginess. My hair started falling out. And I'm working, and then I've got my daughter, and then I've got dance class on the weekend, and I'm just trying to cope, and I'm just physically, like, I can't. So I go to the doctor, and they say, well, you have all the symptoms of someone who has hypothyroidism. Okay, great. We do the blood test, Comes back, no, your blood is in the normal range. There's nothing wrong with you. Feels like there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you, and they said, you know what? It's stress. You're depressed. And they weren't wrong. I was depressed. I was stressed out. But that's what they said it was. And I kept going for tests and things. And they did, they did a bunch of tests, and they came up with some, kind of like bits and pieces of endocrine issues and things like that. But they couldn't really tell me that I had this, and here's medication for it. So I had to kind of resolve it. I had to manage it on my own somehow. And so I started to think, well, maybe it's just psychological. Maybe I'm just, can't deal with things. And then I felt bad again. I thought, what's wrong with you? There's something wrong with me. Fine. So what I started to notice too was that I could go for maybe 6 months, and then I would crash and I'd get really sick. And I was going on leave all the time. It's like I would be, I could function, then I'd get so physically tired, and then I would be on leave. And even though I felt like it was a physical thing, they'd be saying it's stress, so I'd go on stress leave. Right? And it was just really awful. And then I decided, wait a minute, the problem here is my job. That's the problem. I don't like it. It's too stressful. I don't care about finance. I don't care about pension plans. I can't relate to these people. I don't want to work there. If I find a job I like, I won't be so stressed and I'll feel better. It was a good idea, and it was only half of the solution. So I moved around a lot. So then I left finance and I went into media, which was better. And then I went into fashion, which I thought would be better, but it was worse. And then I decided to make a radical change, and I thought, I don't want to do marketing and all that stuff anymore. I want to help people. And so I went back to school for addictions and counseling. And then I was working in an addiction facility. It was, rehab. And I liked it. It was better. I didn't feel so drained. I still didn't feel good. Something still wasn't quite right. But I accepted it. I started just to accept that I don't feel good, and it's just the way it's just going to be this way. Whatever. Something's wrong with me. Can't cope with stress, whatever. Doctors don't know. I don't know. I can't play that game anymore with them. I'm sick of it. I'm just going to manage it myself. And I remember clearly I was sitting in a group session, and I took my hand and I put it like this, and there was this lump there in my neck, and I thought, oh, that's really painful. And every time I swallowed it was just so painful. I'd never had anything like that before. So I went home that night, and I gotta say, I love my brother. I love him so much. He's my younger brother, and you couldn't get two people more different from each other in almost every way. And I'm at the dinner table, and every time I eat, this big bulge would come in my neck, and he's like, that's disgusting. You're disgusting. He'd be like, you're like deformed. You go to the doctor, right? Like, who else could say that but your younger brother? Right? Yeah. I hope he sees this one day. Because I said publicly that I love my brother. And he'd be like, I don't even know what to do with you. Right? So anyway, so I go to the doctor, and they say, okay, so your salivary gland is blocked, but it's pretty extreme, so we're going to send you for an ultrasound just to check it out. Okay, fine. And the next day, it kind of resolved. It wasn't as bad, so I thought I don't really need to go for the ultrasound. I probably won't. Maybe I won't bother taking the time off work to go. But something in me said, no, go. And thank God I did. Because when I went and they were looking at the salivary gland, guess what they caught? Thyroid. And there was a huge nodule on my thyroid. And really big on the one side, and then smaller on the other side. And it was like, okay, we got to take this out. You need a biopsy, then we got to remove this. And it was very fast. It was like, and they did the biopsy. And I'm thinking, great, I knew something was wrong with my thyroid. Validation. Here's the answer to all my problems, right? So finally, they do the biopsy, and it comes back and it says it's a suspicious lesion, meaning that we think it's cancer. We gotta take it out. Okay, great, take it out. Take that sucker out. Causing me all these problems, I don't need it. Now, if I had have known now what I know now, I wouldn't have been so quick to let them cut a major organ out of my body. Because you gotta remember too, and I'm not saying that you have to do what's right for you with your health and whatever. I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to your doctor, but what I do know is that when we do cut organs out of our bodies and we have surgery, it's very traumatic to the body. The body will grieve that organ. The body doesn't, why are you doing this? I was just trying to alert you. Cutting it out, right? Anyway, so I went and did that. And I did feel better when I got it out and they put me on medication and stuff. Still not 100%. And then I noticed too, so then I left addictions for a little bit and decided I'm going to go back into finance because I want more money. And I thought, I'm not going to like it there, but you know what? I want the money, so I can suck it up for the money. I'm going to do a contract, and I went and worked for a big bank. Nothing against banks, I work for a bank. But I went to work for a big bank on Bay Street, and I didn't expect to like it, but I wanted the money. So I went there, and I was in a meeting. I was there for about 2 weeks, and I was in a meeting with a bunch of senior guys. And they talk in acronyms, right? Like, they're throwing all these acronyms around, and I was new, and I didn't know what they were saying. So I asked a question, I mean, can you what does that mean? And the one guy kind of glared at me, and it started something in me. And it was like, I shouldn't be here. I'm not very, they're going to think I'm stupid. They're judging me. I'm not comfortable. This is not a safe place. I can't speak because they're going to hurt me. And this script just started running, and it was really, really intense. Like, it was out of proportion to what was happening in the moment. And then what also started happening was I was afraid to talk, but I had to ask another question, so I was able to get it out, and he ignored me. He looked at me, and he completely ignored me in front of everybody. And my body got so hot and shaky and sweaty, and I was having a full-on anxiety attack, and I couldn't see or think straight. So I got out of there. I don't know how I didn't cry, but my throat was like closing on me, and I had, again, the salivary gland started to blow up. And so I got out of the meeting, and I said to a coworker of mine, I said, look, something's going on with my throat. I got to run downstairs to the drugstore, and I'll be right back. And I really didn't plan this, but I got my purse, made sure I had all of my stuff, grabbed my book. Thank God I hadn't been there very long, so I didn't have a whole desk to clear out. I had a few things. I cleared out my stuff, grabbed my coat, went downstairs. It was my first Canadian place. There was a drugstore underneath. And I didn't go to the drugstore. I walked into the GO train station. Like in a daze almost. It's like, I'm out of here. Because I recognized in that moment, whether I really understood it or not, was that I, at that moment, was not able to handle that environment. And emotionally, it was bringing stuff up in me, and it was hurting me on a physical level. And if I stayed in that environment, I was going to get sick. Again. And I thought, nope, and I left and I went home. Now, if I had to do it again, I would have handled it differently. I don't think I would have done it that way. But I did what I needed to do in that moment to get out of there. So I put myself first. And I didn't really ever do that, right? And I never went back. I never went back, and I never went back to finance, and I just left all that behind. And I started to understand how my emotions affected my body because I was seeing it firsthand in my own body. And I read somewhere too that to your body, when you speak to your body, to the body it is the voice of God. As far as your body is concerned, when you talk to your body and you talk to organs in your body and you tell your body that I'm healthy, that we're healing, whatever's going on here, what do we need to do about it? Body loves it. The body will believe you, and the body will respond. So I smoked, right? And I smoked for a long time, and I love smoking. I really enjoyed it, and I used it for a lot of things, for anxiety and stuff. And I worked in fashion, and fashion still had there's a lot of smoking in that culture and stuff. And so, but I hit a point where I no longer enjoyed it anymore, and so I decided, okay, I'm going to quit smoking. And every time I quit smoking, I'd have such intense withdrawal symptoms physically, like I couldn't digest food, and I'd get so bloated, my abdomen, and it would be so uncomfortable, and so I didn't start smoking again because I wanted to smoke. I'd start smoking again because I wanted the withdrawal symptoms to stop. And so I did that a few times. And I hit a wall again, and I thought, no, I don't want to smoke anymore. I don't enjoy it. In fact, I really don't like it. It's not in alignment with me anymore. Like, it doesn't, and it wasn't about judging it or judging people who smoke. It was just, for me, it just no longer served a purpose. It didn't bring me anything good. So I was lying down one morning, and I started to talk to my body. Just thought, okay, let me try this. So I said, you know what? We're quitting smoking. And we're really happy to do that. Because we don't want to do it anymore. And so we don't have to be afraid. Because what I realized is my body is reacting with these withdrawal symptoms because it thinks it needs the cigarettes. It thinks it needs the nicotine. Because it thinks without it, it's going to be, we're going to miss it. And it's going to be upsetting. And so when I said to the body, we don't miss smoking. We're happy to let it go. So we don't need to react. And it's almost like I felt like my body was having a temper tantrum. I was like, we don't need to do that this time because we don't want to smoke and we don't miss it. We're happy to let it go. And I spent about an hour talking to my body and really saying to it, it's okay, like you don't need to react. And guess what happened? I quit. And I had not one side effect. Not one. And I thought, wow. Like, even me, I was shocked. Because I wasn't really sure. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. But it did. Because I really connected with my body in a way that I had never done before. Right? And so what I want you to know is that you do have the power within you already. It's built into you to really affect your physical health and really guide your body and speak to it. And it's already within you. Right? And you have the ability too to create what you want to bring into your life by your emotional state. And when you start to understand that, there's no perfection in it either. It's a process, but we hear about mindfulness all the time. It's just when you start to understand how the mechanics of things work, and you start to become aware of where's my thought, where's my emotion, what am I vibrating at, and you start to be able to work towards releasing emotional stuff and not being afraid to feel your emotions when they're uncomfortable, and being able to also, when you're in an upsetting situation, being able to kind of pull yourself into a neutral place where you then can make a decision. You're not letting your emotions run you. Because we want to react, right? We get angry. And there's nothing wrong with being angry. There's nothing wrong with the feeling. It's how do you respond? How do you let that, does that feeling, what's your response to that feeling? Do you lash out? So if you can step back and put yourself into a neutral place, and the best way I can describe that is the situation is unfolding around you, you can feel that you're getting upset, and you can kind of step back like you're watching a movie. Take the emotional charge out of it and observe what's happening around you from a neutral standpoint. And then in that moment, that clarity, you get to choose your response. You don't react, you choose your response. And sometimes it's really hard to do, and sometimes you have to leave, or you may have to remove yourself from the situation. You may have to go outside or go for a walk. But when you're calm again, and you bring your body down, then you can choose your response, and you're not being dragged into the emotional storm of usually somebody else that's triggered it in you, right? So, and I think that one of the things that people struggle with is we're afraid to feel feelings and we don't want to look at them because we're afraid to feel bad. But the only way to release release things is to allow them to come up and really look at them and be able to sit with them, and you acknowledge them, you feel them, whatever it is, grief, sorrow, whatever's going on, really feel it. Allow yourself the time to really feel the feeling. But then when you're over all of that, you let it go. Get it out. So if you're really angry at somebody or something's going on, and I would say, you know, you want to get those emotions out. It's not bad to be angry. It's okay to be angry, but you want to get the emotions out. You don't want to stuff them down and pretend that I'm not angry. Doesn't mean you have to lash out at the person. But what you can do is you can have the conversation you want to have with them. If you're not able to have that kind of conversation with them, you can have the conversation with yourself. Get the words out. Get the emotions out. Write it out. Exercise. Whatever works for you, get that emotion out of your space. Don't let it sit and fester in your energy body. Because I promise you, if you let it sit and fester in your energy body and you push it down and you try to ignore it, or you try and say, I'm not mad, well, that's fine, but you're seething, you're doing yourself a great disservice. You're dishonoring yourself. You're saying what I feel doesn't matter. And not only that, I'm going to avoid it, I'm going to stuff it over here, and it doesn't disappear. Those feelings don't go away. They get stuck and you get lodged. Right? And then, like with me, those feelings were stuck and lodged in my throat for years. And then I had thyroid cancer. Right? That's what it was. That's what I believe it was. So, and also, you know, and when we start to really, we start to lose the fear around looking at our own emotional state and really looking at uncomfortable things, we stop blaming other people. And we start to kind of can take ownership for what's going on. And then we're able to look at them through a lens of more compassion, and there's less judgment, and there's not that charge anymore in those difficult relationships, and things start to resolve and they start to heal because you are managing your emotions. You're dealing with your emotions. And it's a process, but it's the awareness is the key. It's just asking yourself on a daily basis, when you start to get into a lower vibrational state, asking yourself, where am I? Step back, go into neutral, ask yourself, do I want to be in this state? If the answer is no, shift out of it, go into gratitude, get out of it. Don't allow other people to trigger you and put you in that space. Don't let their energy kind of affect you. And when we talk about people, you know, we take it very personally, like I don't like that person or they don't like me. But it's really not that, it's energy. You're like, how is that energy? That guy's a jerk. Well, a lot of the times though, it's just energy. And what it is that there are 3 phases of energy. In phase, out of phase, anti-phase. So right now, in this room, I'm in phase. I feel in phase with you all. I feel very comfortable. I'm very happy to be talking. I feel like, you know, it's a nice space. Everybody's comfortable. We're in phase. I'm able to speak honestly with you and openly. I'm in phase with you. Great. And that will happen. You'll meet somebody. You may not know them very well, but you just like them. I just like that person. That person, I feel good when I'm around them. You're in phase. Out of phase is a little would look like, let's say you have a coworker. They haven't done anything to you. It's not that you dislike them, but when they come around, you're like, right? Okay. You avoid the elevator. You'll see that they're getting on the elevator. You're like, I'm not getting on that elevator, right? Because what happens is you're out of phase, meaning that your energy, you're on different spectrums of energy. They're vibrating one place, you're vibrating another place, and it doesn't feel comfortable when you meet. It's awkward. You can't connect with them. And you get that. I mean, you know that this is a person that I'm probably never going to be able to have a real meaningful conversation with because they don't get me, I don't get them. It's awkward. I feel like it's, you know, small talk and you're trying to and it's draining. You can be around them. When you are around them for any length of time, you usually feel tired and drained, right? Like, oh, God. But it's something they've done. And they probably feel the same way around you. And it's not that they don't like you, it's that they don't, It's kind of like, oh God, I don't like being around them. It's just energy. And then antiphase, that is when you meet somebody and you go, no thank you. No thank you. I'm not interested in engaging. Because what happened is, that is when you are so far off the spectrum energetically, like they're here, you're here, or whatever. I like to think you're here, they're there, okay? That when you actually meet, the energy, it almost is like there's a collision, and it will repel you away from them. And that is antiphase. So but we always we want to make it personal, because our rational mind wants to kind of understand, like, what is the deal here? And so we'll start to say, I don't like that guy, or whatever, he doesn't like me. But really, it's when you look at it and you start to look at things in terms of energy, you can take the judgment off of it. It's not about you. It's not about. It's just the way it is. These are things, the things I'm talking about. Whether you are consciously aware of these things or you're not, this is the way the universe is governed. These are energetic, these are universal laws. Nature is governed by certain laws, and these are some of them. And so whether you're conscious of them or not, you still have to abide by them. You can't jump the system. You can't game it, right? Either you understand them or you don't, but you're still participating with them. You're still working with them. Right? So oftentimes you'll hear about, you have to love yourself, right? And that's really hard to do. Like, for a lot of us, I'm not sure that comes so naturally, just to love yourself and accept yourself. I love myself. It's really hard too, because a lot of things, like I said, we're conditioned to, are telling us that we're not okay, or that we need something, or we need to buy this or have this or do this to, right? And so I struggled with loving myself, and that whole concept was so foreign to me. People would say you have to love yourself, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means. What are you talking about? I can't do it. I don't know how. And so another thing that I struggled with was I hated myself. Like, I really did. And to the point where I have a raging eating disorder. I hated myself so much, I couldn't eat. I wouldn't allow myself food. And I was hospitalized. My organs were starting to shut down. I was literally committing suicide. And I'm in the hospital, and they're saying, you have to love yourself. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And I would try the positive affirmations and all that stuff that they would tell me, and it would be like, it didn't feel right. I didn't believe any of this stuff. And I felt like I don't know how to do this. I felt hopeless. And I was doing all that blaming too, right? I was playing that blame game. I was in that state of victimization. Poor me. They did that. It's because of her. It's because of him. No, it was because of me. Right? It was because of me. I didn't know how to love myself. And so what I did was, thankfully, I had a therapist who said to me, what you need to do and what I want you to do is I want you to get a picture of yourself when you're a child, maybe 3, 4 years old. A picture that you connect with, a picture you like of yourself. And every time that you start attacking yourself, or every time that you're being super critical of yourself, I want you to imagine that you are speaking to that child. And what was starting to happen was I'd start to dig in and lay into myself, and I'd find I couldn't do it. When I started to relate myself to that child, she didn't deserve that. Poor kid, right? She's really cute, but she didn't want to hurt anybody, right? How could I hurt her like that? And something started to happen. I started to be able to access that level of even acceptance. It doesn't have to be, it wasn't even as big as love, it was just accepting myself in a way I was never able to do before. And so I would say to you, and this has got nothing to do with your parents either, right? When you become an adult, you are now responsible for yourself. And so what I would say to you is if you do struggle with that sort of stuff, maybe not to the extreme that I did, but if you struggle with that, start to imagine yourself as that child, and you say to that child, I am the parent now. You are safe with me. I am taking care of you, and I love you. And I am not going to let anybody hurt you. You're safe with me. It's my job now. And even if you have to carry around a picture, like you have yourself as a young kid, sometimes you got to pull it out and look at that kid and think, I'm not going to treat that kid like this. I love that kid, right? But for me, that transformed. It changed my ability to connect into myself, my ability to kind of accept myself, and then to begin to love myself. And I still struggle with, I do, and it's not perfection, but it is a process. And the fact that these cameras are here right now, and I'm on them, right, means I've come a long, long way, right? There is apprehension about it, but it's okay, right? So there's no perfection, that's another thing. Don't judge it. You are not the experience. You are having the experience, but that experience in your way should define you. Right? And so physiologically you have to remember that everything is energy. Emotions fuel the energy. The body will respond in a physiological way. If you hold on to emotional stuff, that trauma, and we think of trauma, right? Like we think this. It's a big thing that had to happen to you. Like when I was 5, let's say I got hit by a car, or a dog bit me, or someone abused me. That qualifies as trauma. So that's okay. No, that's not what trauma is. Trauma can be something as insignificant as a teacher berating you when you're very young in front of a class. Trauma can be as something as insignificant when you're a child or someone you really look up to saying something like, what's wrong with you? Because what that can do is that can plant that seed. And we're not aware of it at the time usually, and it gets planted, and then it will start to fester. And it will start to grow, and these scripts start running, and the thoughts become the belief systems, and the belief systems get so deeply ingrained, we don't even know that we have them anymore. Right? Until maybe we get sick. And so right now, I'm studying hypnosis at the Hypno Institute in Toronto, and this is just a story I want to share with you about how powerful the mind is as it relates to the emotions, as it relates to the body and the mind, the subconscious mind especially, because the subconscious mind, it knows everything. The conscious mind, it will take things in, it can be affected by things, it will tell stories and stuff, but underneath the subconscious knows everything. And the subconscious can connect right into the heart, and the heart never lies. So if you make decisions and you let your heart guide you through your decisions, you will not make a mistake. I promise you. And you can get into the heart center. You will not make a mistake. And people say, oh, I don't know, how do I do that? Well, there's a scientist, and his name is Greg Braden, and he went to all these in Tibet and all these different societies, Tibetan monks and things, who were living for like 120 years, and he was like, I want to know, how are they doing that? And they don't always have the best nutrition and stuff, like, because a lot of them live off of donations and stuff, they kind of get what they get. And so he went there because he wanted to learn what the secret is. And what he found is that they are living from the heart center. They give freely. They're grateful. They come at everything from the heart. And the body responds to that. It flourishes. There's actually something with DNA or something, and if you have Gaia, he's got a whole series on Gaia, and I would recommend that you watch it, because it actually gets into the physiological, the body and the telomeres and the DNA, and how love actually will restructure them and will heal them, and it will lengthen the span of your life. And so he has a technique for getting into that space. And then I'm going to get back to the hypnosis bit, and then I'm done. So if everybody could, I just want you to take your hand and I want you to put it over your heart, your chest. And I invite you,
Which one? Which hand?
whatever hand, or it doesn't matter. Can you feel that energy? Is there a heat there? Can you feel it? Can you connect into that? It's a perception organ. Remember that. It's very powerful. So I want to do a little exercise with you. So if you can all just close your eyes. This is how you connect into the heart center. Okay? So I want you to just close your eyes. And I want you to take, we're going to do this 5 times. So we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose. Hold that for 5. And then we're going to exhale that through the chest, through the heart for 5. We're going to do it 5 times. Okay? So everybody, deep breath in through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to exhale through the chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let the body kind of come down. And again, deep breath in. Now, I think that was 5 times, but now you're in the heart center. Okay, now I want you to place that hand back, connect it with the chest. I want you to say, you can say it out loud or you can just in your mind say it. I hate that. I hate that. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. Is it rattling you? Yeah? So you can feel that signature, right? Now I want you to say, I love that. I love her. I love her. I am enough. I am enough. This feels so much different. So much different. And if you can do that exercise, and not the same part, but if you can spend a few minutes every day doing that breathing exercise and connecting into the heart and getting used to being in that space, and then when you have decisions to make, you're not maybe unsure of that, you can connect into that space and then think about it from there, you will not make a mistake. And you will treat people with a lot more compassion. And they will treat you with a lot more compassion. And it is a wonderful virus that will begin to spread, right? Because when we think about it, like attracts like, and misery loves company. Where do you want to be, right? So back to hypnosis. So I'm taking this course in hypnosis, and the teacher and the owner of the clinic, she is a psychotherapist, and she's a hypnotherapist, and she's been on Oprah and all that stuff. Like, she's fairly well known. Her name is Debbie, and she was talking about, you know, how the subconscious mind connecting into the heart can really affect the body when we get all the noise that's going on in the conscious mind out of the way. And I just want you all to know how powerful, truly powerful you are. And the body knows exactly what to do. It knows exactly how to heal itself once you get all the crap out of the way. Because the emotional stuff will wreak havoc in the body. And the emotional stuff, when you're in this fight or flight zone and you're living in it, and we live in that state a lot. The body is so busy responding to the physiological stressors, and the hormones shoot up, and the cortisol, that it can't get to the fundamental things like digestion, like circulating the blood. It can't do the restorative healing work because it's always doing damage control, right? So when you're able, that's why meditation, we hear about meditation and how great it is. Why? What does it do? It gets you to quiet down the mind and connect into the body. So the body can start to heal and restore itself without being pulled around by all the emotional stuff and the thoughts that are running in our head. because the body reacts to all that stuff, right? And so we go into a quiet space, a space of stillness. They call it the 0 point. When we can get into that space, the body is then free to do the restorative work that it can't quite get to because there's all this stuff all the time, right? So anyway, I think that I've covered everything that I wanted to. Thank you. I just want to thank you so much because truly, and I mean it, by you guys coming tonight and allowing me to speak, you're helping me. Because you're really letting me kind of express that part of myself that I tried to cut off for so long. And what it's doing is it's taking all the stuff that I've been through, like thyroid cancer and eating disorders and all that drama, and it's taking all that stuff that the pain that I kind of went through, and I'm able to now bring it, twist it around, and use it for something positive. So it was not for nothing, right? I'm grateful for it. That stuff's fantastic because if that stuff didn't happen, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't be sharing this stuff with you guys. And my hope is that you guys will take this stuff and you'll go and share it with other people, right? Even if it's just a seed. Even if you only believe, some of the stuff I said. It's all right. Whatever. You take what resonates with you and you leave the rest. And so I want to do a Q&A, but I just wanted to tell you that any questions you